Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Where's the outside people's party? Oh, died. That sounds serious. Well, can they hear?
Yes.
We're taking up the reading of the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, where we left off at the lunch break, and we're in the Madhya Lila, in chapter 1, entitled The Later Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And we're taking up at text number 86. Everybody ready out there? Absorbed in the ecstasy of the gopis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wished to see Jagannath in his original form as Kṛṣṇa, the son of Nanda Maharaj, standing in Vrindavan and appearing very beautiful, his body curved in 3 places. His desire to see that form was always increasing. Just as Srimati Radharani talked in... Okay, thank you. Dvadasha Vatsara Shesh Aiche Gunailo E Mato Shesh Lila Tri Pradhani Koila. The last 12 years of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were passed in this transcendental craziness. Thus he executed his last pastimes in 3 ways. For the 24 years after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order, whatever pastimes he executed were unlimited and unfathomable. Who can understand the purport of such pastimes? Just to indicate those pastimes, I am presenting a general survey of the chief pastimes in the form of a synopsis. This is the first synopsis. After accepting the sannyas order, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded toward Vrindavan. Purport: clearly these statements are a real account of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of the renounced order of life. His acceptance of this renounced order is not at all comparable to the acceptance of sannyas by Mayavadis. After accepting sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to reach Vrindavan. He was unlike the Mayavadi sannyasis who desire to merge into the existence of the Absolute. For a Vaishnav, acceptance of sannyas means getting relief from all material activities and completely devoting oneself to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami at Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.255. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjita Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchite. For a Vaishnava, the renounced order means completely giving up attachment for material things and engaging non-stop in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Mayavadi sannyasis, however, do not know how to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Because they have no devotional training, they think material objects to be untouchable. Brahma Satyam Jaganmita. The Mayavadis think that the world is false, but the Vaishnava sannyasis do not think like this. Vaishnavas say, why should the world be false? It is reality, and it is meant for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For a Vaishnava sannyasi, renunciation means not accepting anything for personal sense enjoyment. Devotional service means engaging everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When proceeding toward Vrindavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed with ecstatic love for Krishna, and he lost all remembrance of the external world. In this way, he traveled continuously for 3 days in Radhadesh, the country where the Ganges River does not flow. First of all, Lord Nityananda bewildered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by bringing him along the banks of the Ganges, saying that it was the river Jamuna. After 3 days, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the house of Advaita Acharya at Shantipur and accepted alms there. This was his first acceptance of alms. At night, he performed congregational chanting there. Purport: it appears that in his transcendental ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgot to eat for 3 continuous days. He was then misled by Nityananda Prabhu, who said that the river Ganges was the Jamuna. Because the Lord was in the ecstasy of going to Vrindavan, he was gladdened to see the Jamuna, although in actuality the river was the Ganges. In this way, the Lord was brought to the house of Advaita Prabhu at Shantipur after 3 days, and he accepted food there. As long as the Lord remained there, he saw his mother, Shachi Devi, and every night executed congregational chanting with all the devotees. At the house of Advaita Prabhu, he met his mother as well as all the devotees from Mayapur. He adjusted everything and then went to Jagannath Puri. Purport: Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu knew very well that his acceptance of sannyas was a thunderbolt for his mother. He therefore called for his mother and the devotees from Mayapur, and by the arrangement of Sri Advaita Acharya, he met them for the last time after his acceptance of sannyas. His mother was overwhelmed with grief when she saw that he was clean-shaven. There was no longer any beautiful hair on his head. Mother Shachi was pacified by all the devotees, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked her to cook for him because he was very hungry, not having taken anything for 3 days. His mother immediately agreed, and forgetting everything else, she cooked for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during all the days she was at the house of Sri Advaita Prabhu. Then, after a few days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested his mother's permission to go to Jagannath Puri. At his mother's request, he made Jagannath Puri his headquarters after his acceptance of sannyas. Thus, everything was adjusted, and with his mother's permission, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded toward Jagannath Puri. Wow. You just got in?
Yes, we just arrived.
Welcome. Hare Krishna. Fantastic. Hey, you brought someone with you.
Brought him back.
Welcome. We're really glad to have you. Hare Krishna. We're at Madhya Lila, text number 1, chapter 1, text number 96. On the way toward Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed many other pastimes. He visited various temples and heard the story about Madhavendra Puri and the installation of Gopal. Purport: This Madhavendra Puri is Madhavendra Puri is Madhavendra Puri. Another Madhava Puri is Madhvacharya, who is the spiritual master of a devotee in the line of Gadadhar Pandit, and who wrote a book known as Sri Mangala Bhashya. Madhvacharya, however, is different from Madhavendra Puri, who is mentioned in this verse. From Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the story of Shri Churi Gopinath and of the witness Gopal. Then Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyas rod belonging to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Shri Churi Gopinath is situated in Ramuna, about 4 miles away from the Balasore station on the Northeastern Railway, formerly known as the Bengal Mayapur Railway. This station is situated a few miles away from the famous Kargapur Junction Station. Some time ago, the change of the temple was given to Shyamasundar Adhikari from Gopi Ballabhapur, which lies on the border of the district of Medinapur. Shyamasundara Adhikari was a descendant of Rasikananda Murari, the chief disciple of Shyamananda Goswami. A few miles before the Jagannath Puri station is a small station called Sakshi Gopal. Near this station is a village named Satyavadi, where the temple of Sakshi Gopal is situated. After his sannyas rod was broken by Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu apparently became very angry and left his company to travel alone to the Jagannath temple. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the Jagannath temple and saw Lord Jagannath, he immediately lost his senses and fell to the floor. After Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw Lord Jagannath in the temple and fell down unconscious, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya took him to his home. The Lord remained unconscious until the afternoon, when he finally regained his consciousness. The Lord had left Nityananda's company and had gone alone to the Jagannath temple. But later Nityananda, Jagadananda, Damodar, and Mukunda came to see him, and after seeing him, they were very pleased. After this incident, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya by showing him his original form as the Lord. After bestowing mercy upon Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the Lord started for southern India. When he came to Kurmashetra, he delivered a person named Vasudeva. After visiting Kurmashetra, the Lord visited the South Indian temple of Jayata Nrsimha and offered his prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. On his way, he introduced the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in every village. Once the Lord mistook the forest on the bank of the river Godavari to be Vrindavan. In that place he happened to meet Ramananda Roy. He visited the places known as Tirumala and Tirupati, where he extensively preached the chanting of the Lord's holy name. Purport: this holy place is situated in the district of Tanjore, Chittoor, South India. The temple of Tirupati is situated in the valley of Venkatachala and contains a deity of Lord Ramachandra. On top of Venkatachala is the famous temple of Balaji. That's not on because when the electricity goes off, it goes on auxiliary, and then there's only a couple things that work for survival. Are you all okay? But it's because you're transcendental. Text 106. After visiting the temples of Tirumala and Tirupati, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had to subdue some atheists. He then visited the temple of Ahovala Nrsimha. The Ahovala temple is situated in Dakshinatya in the district of Karnula, within the subdivision of Sarbela. Throughout the whole district, this very famous temple is very much appreciated by the people. There are 8 other temples also, and all of them together are called the Nava Nrsimha temples. There is much wonderful architecture and artistic engraving work in these temples. However, as stated in the local gazette, the Karnula manual, the work is not complete. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to the land of Sri Rangashetra on the bank of the Kaveri, he visited the temple of Sri Ranganath and was there overwhelmed in the ecstasy of love of Godhead. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu lived at the house of Tirumala Bhatta for the 4 months of the rainy season. Sri Tirumala Bhatta was both a member of the Sri Vaishnava community and a learned scholar. Therefore, when he saw Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who was both a great scholar and a great devotee of the Lord, he was very much astonished. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu passed the Chaturmasya months with the Sri Vaishnavas, singing, chanting the holy name, and dancing. After the end of Chaturmasya, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu continued traveling throughout South India. At that time, he met Paramananda Puri. After this, Krishnadas, the servant of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, was delivered from the clutches of a Bhattatari. Caitanya Mahaprabhu then preached that Lord Krishna's name should also be chanted by Brahmanas who were accustomed to chanting Lord Rama's name. Purport: in the Malabar district, a section of the Brahmanas are known as Nambudhari Brahmanas, and the Bhattataris are their priests. Bhattataris know many tantric black arts, such as the art of killing a person, of bringing him under submission, and of destroying or devastating him. They are very expert in these black arts. And one such Bhattatari bewildered the personal servant of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu while the servant accompanied the Lord in his travels through South India. Somehow or other, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu delivered this Krishna Das from the clutches of the Bhattatari. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is well known as Patita Pavana, the savior of all fallen souls. And he proved this in his behavior toward his personal servant, Krishna Das, whom he saved. Sometimes the word Bhattatari is misspelled in Bengal as Bhattamari. Don't do that. 113. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then met Sri Rangapuri and mitigated all the sufferings of a Brahmana named Ramdas. Caitanya Mahaprabhu also had a discussion with the Tattvavadi community, and the Tattvavadis felt themselves to be inferior Vaishnavas. Purport: the Tattvavadi sect belongs to Madhvacharya's Vaishnav community, but its behavior differs from the strict Madhvacharya Vaishnav principles. There is one monastery named Uttararati, and one of its commanders was named Raghuvarya Tirtha Madhavacharya. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then visited the Vishnu temples of Anantadev, Purushottam, Sri Janardhan, Padmanabha, and Vasudev. Purport: a temple of Ananta Padmanabha Vishnu is situated in the Trivandrum district, Tiruvananthapuram. This temple is very famous in those quarters. Another Vishnu temple named Sri Janardhan is situated about 26 miles north of the Trivandrum district, near the railway station called Barkala. After that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the celebrated Saptatal trees, took his bath at Setubandha Rameshwara, and visited the temple of Lord Shiva, known as Rameshwara. Purport: it is said that the Saptatal trees were very old, massive palm trees. There was once a fight between Vali and his brother Sugriv, and Lord Ramachandra took the side of Sugriv and killed Vali, keeping himself behind one of those celebrated trees. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu toured South India, he embraced the trees, which were delivered and directly promoted to Vaikuntha. At Rameshwara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a chance to read the Kurma Purana, in which he discovered that the form of Sita kidnapped by Ravana was not that of the real Sita, but a mere shadow representation. Purport: the Kurma Purana states that this shadowy Sita was placed into a fire as a test of chastity. It was Maya Sita who entered the fire, and the real Sita who came out of the fire. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very glad to read about the false Sita, and he remembered his meeting with Ramdas Vipra, who is very sorry that Mother Sita had been kidnapped by Ravana. Indeed, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eagerly tore this page from the Kurma Purana, although the book was very old, and he later showed it to Ramdas Vipra, whose unhappiness was mitigated. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also found two other books, namely the Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamrita. Knowing these two books to be excellent, he took them to present to his devotees. Purport: in the olden days there were no presses, and all the important scriptures were handwritten and kept in large temples. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found the Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamrita in handwritten texts, and knowing them to be very authoritative, he took them with him to present to his devotees. Of course, he obtained the permission of the temple commander. Now both the Brahma Samhita and the Krishna Karnamrita are available in print, with commentaries by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. After collecting these books, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Jagannath Puri. At that time, the bathing ceremony of Jagannath was taking place, and he saw it. Actually, in those days, the Brahma Samhita from the Gaudiya Math was the only copy available, and it was in Devanagari. The translations were in English, but so the devotees couldn't chant it. Then Pradyumna Prabhu started transliterating it so the devotees could chant the verses, and he'd come out with installments. And when Prabhupada saw that he was transliterating it so the devotees could chant it, then he encouraged them to keep doing it. And then the BBT printed its own version. And in 1975, Prabhupada performed a very big yajna in Chicago, Illinois. It was probably the height of the Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there, Vishnu Jana Maharaj was there, and they had brought hundreds of their traveling devotees, and they had dozens and dozens of new bhaktas ready to take initiation. And there was also several Gaurnitai deities installed on that day to get on new buses travel. So it was quite a mela. And during that yajna, a devotee named Rohini Kumar, who's scholarly, gathered together some of the brahmacharis and showed us how to chant the Brahma Samhita and the Purush Sukta. And we all chanted it during the yajna without being asked. It was just voluntary. And afterwards Prabhupada said he liked it very much, we should keep doing it. When Jagannath was absent, nobody ever really made the Krishna Karnamrita available. It's never been printed by BBT. I can guarantee you Bhanuswami translated it. 122. When Jagannath was absent from the temple, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who could not see him, felt separation and left Jagannath Puri to go to a place known as Alalanath. Alalanath is also known as Brahmagiri. This place is about 14 miles from Jagannath Puri and is also on the beach. There is a temple of Jagannath there. At the present moment, a police station and post office are situated there because so many people come to see the temple. The word Anavasara is used when Sri Jagannath Ji cannot be seen in the temple. After the bathing ceremony Snan Yatra, Lord Jagannath apparently becomes sick. He is therefore removed to his private apartment where no one can see him. Actually, during this period, renovations are made on the body of Lord the Jagannath deity. This is called Nava Yauvana. During the Rath Yatra ceremony, Lord Jagannath once again comes before the public. Thus, for 15 days after the bathing ceremony, Lord Jagannath is not visible to any visitors. Text 123. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu remained for some days at Alalanath. In the meantime, he received news that all the devotees from Bengal were coming to Jagannath Puri. When the devotees from Bengal arrived at Jagannath Puri, both Nityananda Prabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya greatly endeavored to take Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu back to Jagannath Puri. When Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu finally left Alalanath to return to Jagannath Puri, he was overwhelmed both day and night due to separation from Jagannath. His lamentation knew no bounds. During this time, all the devotees from different parts of Bengal, and especially from Navadvip, arrived in Jagannath Puri. After due consideration, all the devotees began chanting the holy name congregationally. Lord Chaitanya's mind was thus pacified by the ecstasy of the chanting. Purport. Being absolute in all circumstances, Lord Jagannath's person, form, picture, and kirtan are all identical. Therefore, when Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he was pacified. Previously, he had been feeling very morose due to separation from Jagannath. The conclusion is that whenever a kirtan of pure devotees takes place, the Lord is immediately present. By chanting the holy names of the Lord, we associate with the Lord personally. Previously, when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had been touring South India, he had met Ramananda Roy on the banks of the Godavari. At that time, it had been decided that Ramananda Roy would resign from his post as governor and return to Jagannath Puri to live with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Upon the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Ramananda Roy took leave of the king and returned to Jagannath Puri. After he arrived, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu very much enjoyed talking with him both day and night about Lord Krishna and his pastimes. After Ramananda Roy's arrival, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon Kashi Mishra and met Pradyumna Mishra and other devotees. At that time, three personalities, Paramananda Puri, Govinda, and Kashishvara, came to see Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. Eventually, there was a meeting with Svarūpa Dāmodara Goswami, and the Lord became very greatly pleased. Then there was a meeting with Shiki Mahiti and with Bhavananda Roy, the father of Ramananda Roy. All the devotees from Bengal gradually began arriving at Jagannath Puri. At this time, the residents of Kulinagram also came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. Eventually, Narahari Das and other inhabitants of Khanda, along with Shivananda Sain, all arrived, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them. After seeing the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleansed Sri Godhead temple with the assistance of many devotees. After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees saw the Rath Yatra, the car festival ceremony. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself danced in front of the car, and after dancing, he entered a garden. In that garden, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon King Prataparudra. Afterwards, when the Bengali devotees were about to return home, the Lord gave separate orders to almost every one of them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to meet all the devotees of Bengal every year. Therefore, he ordered them to come to see the Rath Yatra festival every year. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to dine at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. While he was eating sumptuously, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the husband of his daughter, Sati, criticized him. Because of this, Sati's mother cursed him by praying that Sati would become a widow. In other words, she cursed her son-in-law to die. At the end of the year, all the devotees from Bengal, headed by Advaita Acharya, again came to see the Lord. Indeed, there was a great rush of devotees to Jagannath Puri. When all the devotees from Bengal arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allotted them residential quarters, and Shivananda Sain was put in charge of their maintenance. A dog accompanied Shivananda Sain and other devotees, and the devotees, and that dog was so fortunate that after seeing the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was liberated and went back home, back to Godhead. Everyone met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi. After arriving at Jagannath Puri, all the Vaishnavas met with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sported in the water, taking all the devotees with him. First, the Lord washed the temple of Gundicha very thoroughly. Then everyone saw the Rath Yatra festival and the Lord's dancing before the car. In the garden along the road from the Jagannath temple to Gundicha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes. A Brahmana named Kṛṣṇa performed the bathing ceremony of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After dancing in the Gundicha temple, the Lord sported in the water with his devotees, and on Hera Panchami day they all saw the activities of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. On Janmashtami, Lord Krishna's birthday, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as a cowherd boy. At that time, he carried a balance with pots of yogurt and wheels a rod about. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees from Godadesh, Bengal, and continued chanting with his intimate devotees who constantly remained with him. To visit Vrindavan, the Lord went to Godhead, Bengal. On the way, King Prataparudra performed a variety of services to please the Lord. On the way to Vrindavan via Bengal, there was an incident wherein some cloth was exchanged with Puri Gosai. Sri Ramananda Roy accompanied the Lord as far as the city of Bhadraka. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu reached Vidyanagar, Bengal, on the way to Vrindavan, he stopped at the house of Vidya Vachaspati, who is the brother of Sarvabhaumacharya. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly arrived at his house, great crowds of people gathered. For 5 consecutive days, all the people gathered to see the Lord, and still there was no rest. Out of fear of the crowd, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left at night and went to the town of Kulina, present-day Navadip. Purport: if one considers the statements of the Chaitanya Bhagavat along with the description of Lochan Das Thakur, it is clear that present-day Navadvip was formerly known as Kulina Gram. While at Kulina Gram, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his favor upon Devananda Pandit and delivered Gopal Chapala and many others who had previously committed offenses at his lotus feet. At that time, to go from Vidyanagara to Kulina Gram, one had to cross a branch of the Ganges. All of those old places still exist. Chinadanga was formerly situated as Kulina Gram, which is now known as Kolera Ganj. Hearing of the Lord's arrival in Kulina Gram, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him. The specific arts performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this time were his showing favor to Devananda Pandit and excusing the Brahmana known as Gopal Chapala from the offense he had committed at the lotus feet of Srivas Thakur. Many atheists and blasphemers came and fell at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord, in return, excused them and gave them love of Krishna. When Sri Nisringananda Brahmachari heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Vrindavan, he became very pleased and mentally began decorating the way there. First, Nisringananda Brahmachari contemplated a broad road starting from the city of Kulia. He bedecked the road with jewels, upon which he then laid a bed of stemless flowers. He mentally decorated both sides of the road with bakul flower trees, and at intervals on both sides he placed lakes of a transcendental nature. These lakes had bathing places constructed with jewels. There were various birds chirping, and the water was exactly like nectar. The entire road was surcharged with many cool breezes, which carried the fragrance from various flowers. He carried the construction of this road as far as Kanai Natashala. Kanai Natashala is about 200 miles from Calcutta on the loop line of the Eastern Railway. The railway station is named Talujhadi, and after one gets off that station, he has to go about 2 miles to find Kanai Natashala. Within the mind of Nisringananda Brahmachari, the road could not be constructed beyond Kanai Natashala. He could not understand why the road's construction could not be completed, and thus he was astonished. And now we'll take any reflections or questions. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. There was a sentence, whenever kirtan by pure devotees, wherever there is kirtan by pure devotees, Krishna is immediately present, was one line that kind of attracted me. And I was thinking about women in Bengal when they call it something, right? When they cover their mouth and have that sound. When the kirtan reaches a crescendo, Exactly. Right. So that should be enough to wake everyone up. So, so that moment is so transcendental because suddenly they just start doing it and it appears that yes, the Lord is there. So just wanted to share that.
The first time I joined the temple when I joined the temple in San Francisco for the first time, there were a couple of sannyasis there who were really into kirtan. And I didn't know anybody from anyone, but I was just in awe of all the devotees, and then I was watching them do kirtan. And one of them used to like to jump really high when the kirtan would get going. And I was watching them kind of with wide eyes, and whenever one of them started jumping really high, I go, okay, he saw Krishna again. Yeah, he just saw him again. There he goes. Okay, reflections, questions, comments. We have Mukadavind at the door. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. On text 112, it says, Caitanya Mahaprabhu then preached that Lord Krishna's name should also be chanted by Brahmanas who are accustomed to chanting Lord Ram's name. And then this made me think, I don't know if it's in Madhya Leela or not, but for Murari Gupta specifically, who is Hanuman, he was also accustomed to chanting Lord Ram's name. So how do we, and I know in Brahma Samhita we understand that Krishna's name is equal to 3 of Ram's name, and Ram's name is equal
to... In Vishnu Sahasranam.
Vishnu Sahasranam, sorry. And Ram's name is 1,000 of Vishnu's name. So how do we understand, or how do we speak to someone about the glories of Krishna when we know that they have a specific inkling for a different deity or Ram?
Tell them to either chant Hare Krishna or go to hell. Forever. Well, Prabhupada said, what's the difficulty? Because in the Maha Mantra you got Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, and people say, oh, Ram means this and that. Prabhupada said it means all of those. So in the Hare Krishna mantra, then you're also chanting Ram's name. But Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Swayam Bhagavan, and that means all other forms of the Lord are there within him. And he accommodates everybody, as you already pointed out, Murari Gupta, and also Anupam. The Sanatan and Rupa tried to convince him that he should become a Krishna Bhakta and not a Ram Bhakta. And he tried. But he went back the next day and admitted that I can't leave the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. So we should be similarly accommodating. And we have people come that are from different sampradayas, but they like Hare Krishna. But it's in their family, and there's no way. So there was somebody recently, right, Mukadavind? Yes. That personality, really nice. He's like one of the devotees, but he had to go to the Sri Vaishnavas to take his initiation. Otherwise, that's where his heart was. So we didn't say anything to him, because that's the way he was going anyway. And everyone can be accommodated in Lord Chaitanya's house. Outside People's Party? I can't see anybody. Can we bring him back? No way, it's finished? Not today. We need one of those Tesla batteries on the roof to run everything.
One observation I had, most of the distances that Prabhupada write in the translations are in the miles. In India and either in British, we all use kilometers as the metric system, but all the distances here is in miles. I was just wondering, is there any specific reason that he wrote in the miles all this distance?
No. Previously it used to be miles. They would often refer to things, even when I was small, when we would travel, they would often refer to things in miles. Kilometer came a little later.
They changed it back just like they changed Bombay back to Mumbai. Changed everything kilometers. What I find more interesting is how the landmarks are often train stations. And I was thinking train stations generally don't change that much over the years because you have to re-engineer everything to move it. And they're pretty good landmarks as landmarks go.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, yes.
This is Nam Chintamani. I have a question. So some people chant the Maha Mantra back to front. So they say Hare Rama first. So what's the...
Hare Rama?
Yeah, some people in India chant Hare Rama first and then Hare Krishna. So what's the...
Yeah, I understand. And is there a question or you just wanted to note that?
I just wanted to ask what the...
Well, if they keep chanting, you can hardly tell the difference. Because whereas one stop and the other one end, they just keep going. We don't make such a big deal of it. They're all names of God. Tadvag visargo janataga vitplavo yasmin pratishvlokam abhadya namanyanantasya yashon kitaniya. One of the main reasons that the Bhagavatam is all purifying, it's got all the names of the Lord in it. So Prabhupada, when he was asked that question, he says, so if you chant, it's just what I said. People have their profession, their ekachakra.
I was reflecting on one of the main themes from this morning's reading, where we focused on all the books that were written by the Goswamis and how important they were. There was this line that practically everyone in their family published books. I'm not sure if anyone else caught that. And Krishnadas Kaviraj was a disciple of one of the 6 Goswamis, and down the line, Prabhupāda has now rendered his writings in such a way that we can read it. And I was wondering, how can we take that mood of writing appropriately, and how should we approach writing books at this point as disciples of Prabhupāda's disciples? Is there still a place for us to write books? What kind of books are most needed, and what kind of mood should we have as we write in our practice?
First of all, Prabhupada encouraged everyone to write. The main forum for writing during Prabhupada's time, since Prabhupada was writing all the books, was the Back to Godhead magazine, and he wanted devotees to make articles for that. He emphasized, and all that's there in the record, that writing is a way of consolidating your realizations. If you write essays or books, then you have to do deep research, and you also become very acquainted with it, and you become more articulate in teaching Krishna consciousness, because, as you know well, when you write, you have to refine the way you present it, and then it becomes refined in your mind also. And one form of writing, of course, what Prabhupada said about it was that finding ways to present Krishna consciousness in modern context, he said that you had to be expert to do that. That's one thing he said. And Prabhupada, given an anecdote, Prabhupada encouraged Svarūpa Dāmodara Mahārāja to write a science book, which he did. He wrote a book called, what's the name? The Scientific Basis of Krishna Consciousness. And Prabhupada appreciated that a lot, and he touted that book and his disciple who had written it. So he was encouraging about that. Nobody wrote major books at that time because everyone was engaged in assisting Prabhupada in writing books. In my conversations with Radhika Raman about this in the last couple of years, I talked about the ways in which, in general, there's a reticence for people, for devotees, modern day devotees, writing a lot of books and then making them very prominent, because many people feel that then Prabhupada's books would be put in would be compromised. The distribution of his books would be compromised. And Radhika Raman's opinion was that rather than taking away attention from Prabhupada's books, it brings more attention, because what was the quality of the person and the potency to be able to empower not just one generation, but several generations of those who could write comprehensively and coherently so that other people could take to Krishna consciousness. Other senior devotees I've talked to have given the opinion that writing autobiographically is a good way to go. That's also something that Gopakumar mentions in the Bhagavatamrita. In fact, it's said there decisively that writing autobiographically about one's journey into Krishna consciousness can inspire, if it can inspire others, then one should do it. And he says there in that context that it does inspire others to hear the stories of other people do that. And if there are niches, then one can experiment with those to see how effective they can be. And as far as getting permission, all the acharyas and those who wrote, including Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, when he came to Vrindavan, he went to the Lord personally to ask permission. He had already been given blessings. More than blessings, all the devotees of Vrindavan, as we learned earlier, had requested him to please write. So that's an indication. If a lot of people come to you and say, you got to write. And then he went and double-checked with the Lord, who dropped a garland on him and said, everyone cheered. And they said, yeah. So we should enter in carefully, and Prabhupada writes about the mood that one should approach writing, in which one should approach writing, and that is that one should think that I'm writing for self-purification, not to become famous. So those are a few thoughts.
Thank you.
Hope it helps.
I had a question from morning in text 44 when it's describing Uttara Champu. It says 2, the cruel activities of Akrura, and then 3 is Krishna's departure from Mathura. So why was it cruel activities of Akrura? Because he was taking Krishna to Mathura?
Yeah, I wondered about that for a long time, and then I found in the commentary. As people asked me that, and I didn't have a proper answer, but by Krishna's arrangement, I found in the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he mentions how when Akrura took Krishna away from Vrindavan, the gopis, as we well know, were despondent. They were becoming more despondent with the prospect of Krishna leaving them. And in that state of mind, Akrura didn't stop, nor did he look at them or try to offer any consolation. He could have said something, but he didn't. And that's where the so-called ill will came up. And it just made me realize how important it is to be personal with devotees from that incident. Yes, Patita Pavana?
I believe in that same line, the Shamataka jewel pastime, it's mentioned that he was implicated in that whole pastime because of this act of not, I guess, giving them any consolation or consolence. The word I'm looking for, I'm not sure, but basically he didn't console them when he was taking Krishna away. So in that way there was an offense, and he was implicated in the stealing of the Shamataka jewel.
Yeah, that's a well-known point that's made there. But it's also juxtaposed with the fact that when Akrura was coming to Vrindavan, he was on a mission from Kamsa, and he was praying to Krishna at that time. He said, even though I'm working for your enemy, you know my heart. So it's a little complicated, is how can a pure devotee get so caught up in a murder plot and then also with the Shamataka jewel, or the Shamataka jewel then a murder plot and so forth. Yes? Yeah, we have the story of Bhishma. Yeah? Mukharavind?
For the Ek Chakra Pran Prabhu's question, I was during the flight, I just pick up this book 4 question and I read cover to cover in the flight, and then I had some realization after reading that book that what Prabhupada says in the first canto 4th chapter, first verse in the famous commentary, that what realization means, that you should just present the truth in a straightforward manner, not like obscure meaning should be covered. And when I was reading the whole book cover to cover in one, I could see that that book is exactly written in that format. And what you are saying, that what I found that if anyone sincerely seeking, he will find more introduction to Gita, he will find direct introduction to Bhagavatam, he will directly find introduction to Chaitanya Chaitamrit, and he will eventually go and try to learn more. Because if the author has been very transparent and he has presented that from where he is getting the knowledge, rather than trying to hide or trying to because of bridge preaching, he not want to people to cross the bridge but just remain in the bridge. But if he is very much sure that he want to cross people bridge through the bridge preaching, and he presented in a way that he what 141 purport, like not obscure meaning is taking, but he's presenting in a way that is interesting to the people in general, with the modern context, with the modern examples, and he's referring to the Acharya. I think that is I found this a very, very profound way to bring people more to the Prabhupada's shelter. That was my impression was there after reading in one sitting whole book.
Well, thank you. I hope it's not maybe it's the jet lag talking. Okay, just last chance for anybody on the outside People's Party. I can't see you anymore, so I'm feeling a little morose here. I'm hoping you're all still there too. They're gone.
Hi, Krishna.
They're not even there anymore.
Hi, Krishna.
Okay, last point. Yes?
In text 136, 135, it says, Prabhupada doesn't give a purport, but it says there that the Lord gave separate orders to almost every one of the Bengali devotees who visited. Could you elaborate and give a few examples of that? Because sometimes someone may be given an order and then someone else wants to take it, but it may be poison for them. Like one man's.
Yeah, that was a really nice section. That Lord Caitanya, he met with all his devotees.
The second part, she's saying also sometimes one person may take another person's instruction.
Uh-huh.
So that also she wants to do.
Well, there are open orders that one can take. For instance, Lord Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papibhyo mokshayishami masacha. That's a memo to every living entity. And anyone can take that at any time and place from any culture, any species of life, if they can understand it. It's just humans can understand such things. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu also makes a declaration. We read, what was it, 3 years ago, we read the Adi Leela. And he says there that I order every person to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. You can just pick that up and go with it. And then there are individual orders that Lord Chaitanya gave, or that if one has spiritual master, might give individual orders. And Prabhupada says that one's spiritual guide should be expert at seeing the potential of a disciple and then engaging that potential. That's not so extraordinary. That's what good teachers do. They're aware of the different levels that children are. If it's at that level, they see that some are more inclined towards mathematics and they get it really quick, and other people, they may have a creative side, and so they engage them accordingly. In fact, there's empiric evidence that doing so can be very beneficial in the education system when there's due consideration, not just throw everybody in the same room and say, keep up, because not everybody can. So to have personalized instruction, and generally, I mean, people they want some service, and if one can get service based on what one has a propensity for, it can be very beneficial, because that can expand in one's life. And most people have questions about how to get through life in general without getting totally scorched by the circumstances of the material world. Akshobi Tirtha, were you going to say something?
Gurudev, about chapter formations in Bhagavad Gita, it's very
on?
clear.
Yeah, it's on. Okay.
It's very clear that this is what the chapter is going to cover, isn't it? Yes. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also, we know what chapters are about, like once we read them. But in this, we see that we are talking about Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Jeev Goswami, their entire discography, whatever it's called, the whole compendium of books. Then we have the Gopala Champu, Uttara Champu, then suddenly we have Kurukshetra, then now we have the Pastimes in Jagannath Puri. So, has anybody thought about, in terms of scholarship, why Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami had?
This is his style. He starts with summary. It's a synopsis. After this, he's going to go into the specifics. Yeah, and the whole book is like that too, because it starts off Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan, and every verse after that in the Mangalacharan, those 14 verses, then he expounds upon throughout the book, actually. So it starts that way, and this is very specifically midway through, giving, okay, here's what's going to happen now, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's an important question, and that's one of the reasons why it's helpful to read through a whole section, like a whole canto, or 2 cantos. We've even done 3 cantos in one Kartik. And to hear it all the way through, you start to find more of that. Yeah, mind map, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's take a break, and we'll come back here at 20 after. What time is it now? I'm looking at my watch and asking, just what? 5:10. Let's come back at 5:22. Okay? Yes.